Okay, so this video we're going to cover the second step of doing the suspension. And just want to start out by taking a slightly larger drill bit and drilling out these upper holes. And as you're doing so, you probably notice that behind some of these holes there's like some material pretty close to where you push through. That's okay. We're going to take care of that problem. So just use a skewer, an oversized one if you have one, to expand these holes. And especially with these back two, you're probably going to have to angle the skewer down to get it through. So that preps the side of the vehicle. Now, in front of me here I have a bunch of 12-ring caps and a bunch of 8-ring caps. And the 12-ring caps, the larger ones, you want to cut a piece of matchstick at approximately, well, first, actually, you want to cut like a 45-degree angle on the end of the matchstick. And then, from the place where that 45-degree angle starts, cut 5 millimeters back. Approximately. It doesn't have to be perfect. You can kind of just approximate it if you want to do a whole bunch of them pretty quick, because you do need 16 of these per vehicle. Same with the 12-ring caps, you need 16 per vehicle. And once you have those cut out, use some straight glue. Straight glue here. To sort of not fill the inside of the 12-ring cap. Let's see if I can get my light in a bit better position here for you. Not so much fill the inside of a 12-ring cap, but just put a little bit of glue inside of it, and then just push the little piece of matchstick in there, and leave it to dry for a bit. Now I've also got some 8-ring cap bits. You're going to need 8 of these per vehicle. And what you want to do is cut a 9mm chunk of bamboo skewer for each of the caps you're going to use. So you have to do this 8 times as well. Sometimes if it's a really hard skewer, you might have to use something like this to break it off, because it's a pretty short piece. It's hard to get your fingers in there. And you want to do the same sort of thing with the 8-ring cap as you did with the 12-ring cap. Just put some glue inside of it. Let's stick this piece in. And you kind of want to have it coming straight up out of the cap. So placing the cap face down on the table and then adjusting the up-down angle of the skewer is the best way to ensure that you get that. So I've got enough for one side here already done. And I'm just going to continue along, but you should wait for these pieces to dry before you do this. So I've bored out these holes already quite large. You can see that, like, especially with the back ones. Oh, it's not going to happen on this model. Quite often you'll, like, run into material when you try to push these in. These pieces should be just the right length so that when you hit that material, it will actually stop at the right place. You can use a vehicle that's... the rest of the suspension parts are complete. What's happening on this one? yeah, I'm sort of hitting the material, which is the floor of the vehicle, at about that point. But when you've cut it to 9mm, you can see that it's pretty much lining up straight with this, which is good. That's what you want. So take some 4-to-1 glue, or actually 2-to-1 glue. 2 glue, 1 water, yeah. Wetter stuff. And you're going to insert these pieces and make sure you have a skewer handy to sort of adjust their position. You don't want them too close to the track cover, because you do need to fit the track in there, and it's nice to have a little bit of room between it and the track cover. Oops. Now, if you push them in too hard, too far, sometimes it's risky. You can see how I just pulled off the cap when I was trying to pull it off. It's good to have needle nose pliers handy to pull those out, rather than trying to use your fingers, and then you have to re-glue the whole thing. And it's not horrible. It's recoverable, but it can be annoying if you're trying to pull them out. Definitely use those pliers. And so try to set them so that they maintain a straight line between these two wheels. It's really important you do this step before putting on the lower parts, because it just makes it more difficult to reach all these areas that you have to reach. And make sure to adjust them all a little bit down, or at least coming out straight. Okay. Now, obviously do that for both sides, and then you can continue on to the next phase, which is we're going to use these, and we're going to install them on these blue marks on the bottom, and also try to use where these are as a guide to where to put them as well. So you do sort of want each of these lower wheels to be sort of on either side of directly below the upper ones. And so when I'm inserting them like this, the angled part comes down like this. And I just push the cap basically right up against the side of the hull, where the cap overhangs the piece of wood, so that the whole piece of wood is glued down, and only the cap comes over the edge of the hull, if you get my drift. Hopefully you do, because I don't know another way to explain it. So just take your time and try to space them evenly and make sure they're in the correct position. over a little bit to get right underneath that roller. So you may find yourself moving them a little bit off the blue marks depending on how the piece went together. I would more concentrate on getting them evenly spaced underneath the rollers than on where the actual blue marks are. It's generally just a guide. Okay, and so get that done for both sides, and you'll be ready for the next step. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.